age of transition.
You are listening to the Age of Transitions. I'm your host, Aaron Franz, coming at you live this Friday night, August 21st, 2026. Live every Friday night from the facilities of Ocelli.com. 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. First hour, Age of Transitions. Second hour, Uncle, the podcast. Thank you for listening. Do consider giving a donation to Chuck over at Ocelli.com to keep the network going, to help him out. My website is theageoftransitions.com. That's where you can go to find this show. Lots of ways to listen to the podcast. And also support. One of the main ways is buying my book, Revolve, Man's Scientific Rise to Godhood. Paperback and ebook copies are both available of that book. Also have the Patreon campaign over at theageoftransitions.com, a couple other ways to support. So thank you, everybody, for that. I need to do some new posts to Patreon. There's a lot of, I want to just continue with the looking for truth in all the wrong places. That's the project. That's what I want to focus on, and I will return to that when I keep doing Patreon material. I will do that. And I've thought about posting some similar stuff on the regular show. And I mean, I talk about the same topics on this show because it is so important. And what is it that I'm only generally hinting at? What is looking for truth in all the wrong places? It's the remnants of the former truth movement online are still evident, are still out there. Over time, what was the truth movement? What is conspiracy culture broadly speaking? And looking at when you look at it as broad as you can, I think sometimes that's the best way to do it, because you're looking at so much, and it's as with all online things, today, all online content is aggregated via algorithms to your specific niche interests and what you want to see. So the algorithm serves up to you. If you're interested in conspiracy topics, you won't even necessarily today be fed the broadest wide spectrum where just everything's hitting you all at once. It will narrow down some sort of special interest you have and hit you especially hard with that. Not to say that you won't get the other stuff too, but that's really what's happening now. You there, Chuck? What's up?
Yeah, I am actually, because I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. And look, it is very relevant. Given the fact that we are now inundated with the AIs and the guidance of AI and searches and everything else, it is a whole different world now, right? Because, and this is funny because people that were part of the alternative media talked about the internet ghetto a long time ago, which is where you would end up and people would generally try to ignore you. And you would be ignored for the most part for every reason, and that's why neglected, neighborhoods in reality that we wind up calling ghettos, fall into disrepair. And this literally happened to the conspiracy culture online. The infrastructure fell as it does. Even the virtual infrastructure that we thought we could rely on and everybody was happy about. I mean, we had broadcast radio stations of all sorts across the internet that actually reached out into the real world and everything else. Do you think, this is my overall question now that I've given context, do you think this is by intentional design, okay, that this has been done to relegate truly open-minded thinkers and people that could actually start trouble to the internet ghetto, so to speak? Or is it merely the natural progression of the technology? Because, everything up in the cloud now, physicality gone, the digital book burning. I mean, look, that ship has sailed. as far as I'm concerned. People rebel in how expansive and easy it is for them to participate in it now. Oh, I can just go get a Substack. Oh, I can just go start a podcast. Yes, yes, yes. But in truth, are the ideas not filtered and sanitized now by the AIs? So I guess what I'm asking is, did we lose that battle entirely and without even a peep from the people that were really fighting it? It all went away? Or is this just the natural order of things? Do you understand my question? I know I went around a bit.
I think so. And I mean,
Well, go ahead. Speak on it, because I'd love to hear you speak on this. This is why I interrupt every once in a while, guys. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. But every now and then I hear Aaron working through something verbally out loud. And I say to myself, I have a big question for his thought process. And I hope I get it through. Do you think this happened naturally, or did it happen by design, is the simple question. But I gave you all that context and background so I wouldn't have to break in again for the rest of your show. Go ahead.
well, I mean, the short answer is yes, it did happen by design. There's a lot of explanation that I think is required when you say that. And of course, that's the problem in saying that it did happen by design is that that's the de facto conspiracy answer, which at this point in my career or whatever this is, I think is problematic. I think the de facto conspiracy answer is often trouble. However, I'm giving it right now. So I have to, I mean, if we're talking about online truth-telling, online conspiracy culture, online truth movement, where it was, where we are now, look, the online space is not our space. Of course, the content creators, in this case, the truth tellers, right? Of course, we want to believe that this is our space. And I mean, the design of the allure of creating content online is that it's your personal niche interest that you get to present however you want, whatever you want to talk about, however you want to talk about it. It's up to you. I mean, the sky is the limit. It's only the creativity is your only block. That's the only thing stopping you is the bounds of your creativity, right? That's the promise of online content creation. Okay, fine. That's somewhat correct, but we have to realize who owns the space, because anytime an issue arises, and God knows it happens all the time. It doesn't matter if you're conspiracy content creator, or if you're a trad wife, or if you're something more innocuous, like you give music lessons online, or you're talking about your favorite kind of food. Doesn't matter what you're doing, if you are going to complain about the platform that you're using at some point. I mean, anybody who's ever been on YouTube or followed anybody on YouTube has seen the videos from their, whoever they're subscribed to, whatever your interest is, you're subscribed to the people you like on there. I guarantee you've seen a video of the content creator complaining about YouTube changing the rules, because they do it every week. Every week it's a new rule, and it's incredibly frustrating for content creators to be able to keep up with this. You can't. And you are a slave to their system. And the legal argument is what you should look at, because it always comes back to this, is that when any of this arises, it's always the same story, is that these are private platforms owned by private companies, for-profit companies, and because it's their platform, it's their system, they get to make all of the rules. There's no government oversight. There's no regulation that exists that can do anything about what happens on any of these platforms. And that's the rule. And I guarantee everybody knows about this. Everybody's heard about this. This is how things are. So that is, in essence, really, that tells you everything you need to know, but there's more. Is yes, these are private platforms. This is their world, okay? Because, as we've said on the show before, the whole of internet has migrated from what we knew with like a vast web of countless websites, individual websites that exist for their own purposes, and they're private platforms where the rules are made up by whoever runs that website. Well, those websites have all been made obsolete, essentially. I mean, I still have a website. Everybody still has a website, but it's kind of tertiary. And every website for anything of importance or a company out there trying to make money, they all survive now on their social media accounts. That everybody is required to have social media accounts for to stay in business now. Everybody. Not just content creators, but large multinational corporations are required to have social media. So it's fascinating to see that everyone from the lowly peasant all the way up to, the big shot, big stakeholder in a corporation, you're all subject to the rules of these systems, because that's the whole of internet now, is social media. So it's obvious what has happened, but also it's happened over such a long period of time. It's been easy to miss the point of everything as well, because of the long period of time there. Let me look at my notes here, because I'm going to return to this. There are a couple of things I did want to mention as well. We'll return to these thoughts. Flock cameras. This might be coming out of nowhere, but the digital world is what we're talking about. And not only internet, not only these social media sites and online life, but technology, the technological surveillance state as a whole is this world now. So, an interesting topic in alternative media, as it should be, is flock cameras. And frankly, I'm trying to make sense of the topic because I know it's important. It absolutely is important. It absolutely is one of the latest aspects of the surveillance state being created all around us by the usual suspects. And yes, we should be upset about it. And yes, we should be trying to figure out what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it at present, but I do know that it's an issue, and it's one to watch. It looks like we have somebody over at YouTube. Let me just take a quick look, because I can see somebody saying something. This doesn't happen very much. Oh, okay. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't look that important. Never mind. Anyways, I was on TikTok, as I should not be, but I am. I was on TikTok and I saw a video of, and this is interesting because yes, people are able to make these videos about these should be taboo subjects, right? But we're still able to make useful videos, so that's a good sign. I saw a video of somebody posting locations of flock cameras in Yucca Valley. So that people know, Yucca Valley is the large town located just outside of Joshua Tree National Park. It's the big town on the main highway there's Yucca Valley, then you get to the town Joshua Tree, then you get to the 29 Palms town, which is home to the Marine base. Those are the big towns out there by the park. And of course, I have my place in Landers, which is a little bit to the north of all of these places. So I'm there a lot. I was there today. So I wanted to see, when I was watching this video, she was saying like, here, look, here's the flock cameras in Yucca Valley. And they were all on the main highway, the Highway 62. There were different sites with these cameras. And one of them I recognized. She's like, oh, yeah, check these out. These ones are at what looks to be a house at the corner of 62 and I think it's Yucca Mesa. But anyway, I knew exactly where she was talking about because I know the house. It's kind of like a landmark house for us when we go up to there. And anybody who goes up to that area probably knows this house. It's a weird house on a super busy highway, the 62 highway, right on the highway. It was kind of just anyway, it's weird that a house is on that spot. It's very noticeable and in a strange spot. But I wanted to see these cameras. So I was out there today. And I saw them. I saw the cameras. And I did look up some interesting information on cameras. It says that these flock cameras are placed at the entrances and exits of neighborhoods, at city limits, and at strategic high-traffic intersections. And this house, I think, is all of those things, honestly. I'm pretty sure it's the city limit to Yucca Valley, or if it's not, it's right next to it. You drive down the highway and you're in Joshua Tree. And it's busier than hell right there. So there it was.
Okay,
what's
Aaron,
up,
I need to ask something real fast.
Yeah.
What, in essence, determines a entry and exit point to a neighborhood? Are these neighborhoods like giant cul-de-sacs where there's only one entrance and one exit? Or, are they like planned communities that are gated where there is literally only one exit and entrance? Or is it that they're determining what the exit and entrance is? For context, could you help me out with that? Sorry, it's a minor question, but I think important because it's about the strategic placement of this surveillance. So please, could you explain that?
Well, for flock overall, I think, there are neighborhoods that buy these things for the neighborhood. I know that the HOA of a neighborhood can have access to the cameras themselves. So that can happen. In the case of Yucca Valley and these cameras I saw in the 62, what it is, it's essentially, it's posted up on the main highway where it's not really even a neighborhood there. It's the main thoroughfare where if you go off of the highway, then you go to like different areas, points of interest, and even neighborhoods. It's odd that that house happens to be there, as I'm saying, where these cameras are in Yucca Valley. And it's more or less the city limit right there of Yucca Valley.
Yeah,
is where these cameras are.
But the thing is, you said the entrance to a neighborhood and the exit to a neighborhood. Now, having been in some uniquely sort of structured neighborhoods in my lifetime, there are points of entry that are common use that are not necessarily right off of the main thoroughfare, etc. Okay, not the way they intended the traffic to be, but it turns out this is the way people go in. But then again, there are also funnel effects, where there's only one bridge into a neighborhood if there's a river that separates it from the mainland or something like that. So that's what I'm curious about. Are we talking about something where the neighborhood is designed this way, or they are also, by design seeing where the traffic goes for exit and entrance regarding this?
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, this represents me just trying to get a hold on what these damn cameras are, to be honest.
Okay. It's just because that's important. I'll tell you why. Because that gives us a serious insight into exactly the nature of this surveillance. Have we already been surveilled and they've determined that there is common use just among the people that are there that has become habit? Or is it because of a structural design? Where, like I said, in the case of a gated community, nobody exits or entrances, generally speaking, except through the front or back gates of the place, right? So that all the traffic is funneled into one place by design. Mm-hmm. But in other cases, it's just like I said, something became the common use, and no other road was built, there might only be one road into a particular area or one entrance.
Yeah.
So, and again, strategically placing these cameras there, all you got to do is look at a surveyor's map. You got it.
No.
That's nothing. But if they've already been conducting surveillance to figure out what our habits are, that requires pre-examination before placing these things. And these block cameras are not, some minor joke or some minor part of overall surveillance. This is becoming a serious issue. And in various circles, and not just among the paranoid conspiracy people, people are going, wait a minute, we got people watching us
Yeah.
all the time. And I've made this complaint before about you don't realize it, but everywhere you go, you're being watched. But now they're taking it to your neighborhood because most people are just still under this silly impression that once you go home, you're no longer under surveillance. As long as you don't go to a store, where they have security cameras, okay, we can accept that, blah, blah. What I'm trying to say is between the self-surveillance and stuff like these block cameras, where is your privacy? Find it.
Yeah.
Because anywhere there's electricity, you got none, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my overall point, but that's why I ask this question, which seems, again, as if I'm just being picky about it. But I wanted to know what an exit and an entrance to a neighborhood is. Because you see the difference between a structural one and one that they had to determine by examining exactly what the flow of traffic is. And there are people out there that are occupied with exactly that for different reasons. This is why they build a new road, because they determine, hey, listen, this gets too clogged up. We need another alternative route. And then they build another road, or they build a centralized artery or whatever based on studying traffic patterns, right? Mm-hmm. But these flock camera people are not supposed to have been doing that before that. So where are they getting their information? Did they just buy it from the people who study the roads? Do they just know that? I'm serious. This is a serious question.
Yeah.
Because it tells you where the evolution of this came from. And like you said, look, a homeowners association might want cameras in the neighborhood. Fine. The police love the freaking cameras. I got to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a whole thing about the agreements with cops everywhere having, and sheriff's departments everywhere, whether they have access or not to these cameras. And if they don't, it's even weirder. And that's happened too. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that now there are people starting to fight back and putting bags over them and stuff. I mean, this is a whole thing, Aaron. This is pretty deep.
I know.
So,
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry. I wanted to step in and just add it because, it's important, I think.
No,
and you're touching on a great, great subject here. So you guys are getting a treat here. Please continue. And again, I'll shut up, but damn.
Yeah, it's absolutely is a pivotal political issue of the moment right now. And yeah, it's all these, as I said, I'm trying to figure out the issue for myself. And I frankly have barely even looked at the issue. So I'm not proclaiming to be an expert at all. What we know for certain is this is yet another arm of the total surveillance grid, as you're describing. Anytime you're using electronics, you're plugged into the same thing, essentially. And we have to realize that. That does not mean, however, that we should devalue the importance of these cameras on the roads and how they're being used. And yes, police departments do have direct access to these things, even when they are in private neighborhoods, and that's a big part of the whole story of this. So yeah, and I know that with the Highway 62 in Yucca Valley, that is the main artery for the entire Morongo Basin area, as it's called. That is, if you're going up to Joshua Tree, you're on the 62. There's no way that you're not. There's no way that you're not going on that road. You're on it. And if you're on that road, you're going to pass by one of these locations that has these cameras, whether it be at this weird intersection that happens to have a house on it for some reason. That the street light post has these cameras attached to it. And yes, I did see it today, so I got to look at it for myself. I'm like, okay, yeah, there they are. So yeah, in the case of Yucca Valley, they put them where they know that they're going to see everybody. And yes, it scans every single. It's got the license plate reader, and it keeps a record of every single license plate that goes by, and they boast of that. It's got billions of license plate reads per month or whatever. So, yeah, it's just another surveillance tool. It is there. It's a problem. It's a gigantic political issue. It's important. It's not going away. It's, as we're saying, another arm of this digital surveillance grid that exists all around us now. It's our world that has been built up for us. Gee, thanks, guys. It always is the same players when you really look at the investment of this. And we will say for Flock, I looked this up real quick today, that yes, the Founders Fund, the venture capital company, Peter Thiel venture capital company, did invest, what does it say? Did invest in Flock's latest $275 million fundraising round in the last spring. So of course they're invested in this. You know, it's the way that these things always pan out. It's the same guys behind this. Big surprise. But there's so much going on, because what this is this whole entire system, this digital system. I think the message that I'm trying to get across, and probably failing most of the time, is that where we are with this digital world we live in, which is one of total surveillance, is the direct outgrowth of the post 9/11 reality, the reality that was supposed to be exposed by the truth movement. As we keep saying, the truth movement still exists in withered little particulate content creators that exist across the online world, fed to you through the algorithms based on what it is that you're interested in. So just keep in mind that the same logic that sold the idea of security in the face of impending terror is the one that brought us to here, as far as I'm concerned. And what's fascinating to me is that the war on terror era propaganda toolkit of the George W. Bush years, the Iraq to Afghanistan, going into the Middle East to go after the terrorists, the war on terror era, which we have passed that. We're not in that anymore. Really, the last nail in the coffin for that, I guess we could say, is when Joe Biden brought everybody back from Afghanistan. Oh, it's such a disaster, blah, 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 blah. And then you had people like Eric Prince prancing around online saying like, what a ridiculous thing that war on terror was. Oh, my God, the government is just so stupid. Jeez Louise, that war on terror was really dumb. Never mind, he was one of the main profiteers and guys behind it. Right?
Yep.
Right? He goes out there acting like, really? You're really doing this? So,
Hey,
I
you
mean,
know that thing I made $1 billion off of? Guess what? It was real stupid, and so were you. But that's okay. I got something new for you in the post-war on terror era. And my name is Eric Prince. Don't think of Blackwater. Just Eric Prince in my new project, because I'm going to set you free. Because all that stuff before was dumb. Don't pay any attention to how much money I made off it, or all my family members made and my friends made. That's irrelevant, because it's the post-war on terror era. Come on down to Eric Prince Enterprises, whatever they may be called, Blackwater or otherwise, but we have changed the name. Thank you very much. All legal disclaimers are at the bottom of your screen. Even if you can't see them, they are there. Screw you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Yeah, constant rebrands with that guy, but rebrands with the propaganda as well. They're constantly rebranding the propaganda, and it has changed up a little bit, but I do suspect that at some point they might return more to the hard and fast techniques of the propaganda of the war on terror days, because they're reaching a point where the pushback from the public is getting stronger, and it is legitimate. It is real. I don't want to say that it's a conspiracy that we're being made to protest these things. That in itself is its own problem. It is legitimately actual people getting upset about real issues. So therefore, I would suspect that they're going to try harder to try to throw us off the path and get us diverted, and potentially even return to the war on terror playbook, where they can somehow, some sort of horrible event could happen, and they could say, hey, look, this thing that happened on the Highway 62, it's a good thing that the flock cameras were here at this house, because we saw it and we were able to bring the perpetrators, who happen to be terrorists, of course. I don't know what this terror event is, but it happened, right? Or this is just a fictional idea of something that could happen. This isn't anything that actually happened, okay? Just disclaimer. But terrorism caught on camera, thank God, and the terrorists brought to justice only because we have this technology, right? Now, another aspect of this was I saw a video shared online of a city town hall meeting, which there's video after video after video across all of the social media sites that you've probably seen of people protesting flock cameras at their city council meetings. So again, legitimate people, legitimate videos, actual people pushing back against this in real life, a real issue. One of these videos showed, I don't know who it was, that was, I think he was talking to the CEO of the company. They had the flock. It was definitely a rep from the company that was there. It might have been the CEO. He's a big high up rep from corporate. And this guy was grilling the flock company man. And at the end, he was like, yeah, he essentially had a call for violence against, I forget if it was, but said something about like the head of your company needs to be, something violent done to him. I forget what it was exactly, but that was what happened at this particular video. And I have to say, I found that troubling. I understand the sentiment and the gravity of the situation. However, that to me is a prime example of something that could be exploited against the entire movement. Like, look, this is a violent movement, or it sets precedent that there's violence underpinning it, right? And that perhaps, I don't know, maybe a terrorist network would be going around taking down flock cameras or doing violent things to make sure that they are or something. So, I don't know if there's going to be a full false flag sort of thing going on with this, but it's something to look at, something to be wary of, something to, as a possibility, as something we got to look out for as we move forward with this. Same thing with the data centers, because the data centers and the flock cameras both, in this midterm election, it's been deemed by all of the companies whose job it is to keep track of such things and report back to the big political parties, to any political donors, to big companies invested in this, the stakeholders, right? There's companies that provide data to all these people saying, hey, look, data centers, it's the big issue of this election, okay? And you got to figure out how to deal with it. If you don't, you're going to lose the election, straight up. You got to, what people want to hear now is that you hate data centers and that you're not for them, you're not connected with them whatsoever, because if you are going to lose the election. That's a big deal. That's a big deal politically, because elections are still real. Elections are what these guys are trying to sway every chance they possibly get, and God knows they're doing it on an international scale. Our buddy, Mr. Twitter X over there, Mr. Plays with rockets, model rocket man going to Mars. He famously funded, was it like a year ago or something? He funded the Alternative for Deutschland. So we remember that. That's for me, that's a shining example of what these guys are up to. Funding political parties to in elections across the globe. And something Alternative for Deutschland is so comically ridiculous. It's almost unbelievable that is the real life example. It's like, Alternative for Deutschland. I mean, how ridiculous. It doesn't get much more over the top than that. It's an alternative. Hitler was an alternative for Deutschland a couple of years back, a couple decades, almost a century ago. He was the alternative for Deutschland of his day. But now we have new alternatives being posed by these guys who are fascists. They are, and they're taking over, and they are interested in elections, and they do want to sway them. Do they want to steal them? Oh, if they can, they will. Now, it's a matter of, I'm not getting into any, I'm not even going to go there in terms of like election stealing and rigged elections. It's not even worth it. But would these guys like to do that? Of course they would. But they're going to do everything at their disposal to have their way, to buy all the politicians, to make sure that their interests are served. Their interests are in the digital world, the digital surveillance grid, the flock cameras, the data centers. They need the data centers to power their systems. These are the guys who are the beneficiaries of this AI reality that we're in now, which are powering the algorithms that feed us our content, for one thing, but that's not all that's going on. And of course, it's a totally corrupt system. It's the Back to the Future 2 Biff Tannen economy, of course. So there's that aspect of it as well. And you've probably seen that in online and in real life, in your augmented reality daily life. God knows I have. I know that, and this is something that's been bothering me a lot as of late, is the online gambling. And of course, when we speak of this, you have to speak, like double speak of it. It also, what's funny is when we talk about these issues, it pulls double speak out of you because you can't address the issue directly. There's always some sort of weird loophole that's being exploited. So it's funny. It's like the language of double speak is the language of understanding this mess we're in. Is that ironic or is that obvious? I don't know. You answer that question. Because I'm in California, okay? And in California, it is illegal to bet on sports online. Now, we could get further deep into the conversation as to why that is. And part of the reason in California is that the native Indian casino system is a huge player in the game and a gigantic political player. And there's all sorts of fascinating things going on in that world. You could spend that actually ties back to the octopus Danny Casolaro story right there. But you could go on and on with that alone. But they're a huge player in the California gambling ecosystem, and probably the main reason why you can't bet on sports online in California. But be that as it may, there's loopholes. Surprise, there's loopholes. And essentially, you can bet on sports in California on your little apps because you just have to make sure that you're using a prediction market app, not a betting app. There's a difference. It's predicting something, and it's not betting on a sports game or a sports event. It's you're making a prediction in a market setting, okay? So that's totally different. Also, which is I find this comical, another loophole here in California is that if it's some sort of foreign operated website thing, you can do that too, because the servers aren't, or the company isn't based in California, so you can use that. That sounds all kinds of horrifying, and I hope not too many people are using those, but they probably are. But the prediction market sites, the big ones, Kalshi, Polymarket, I assume people are using these things. And I mean, if I was doing my due diligence, I'd just be asking people I know about this, but because I know people are doing this. People I know are essentially gambling through the loopholes, whatever loopholes it is that they've chosen to use. I haven't asked, probably I should. They're gambling on sports events. And from the sound of it, people are losing a bunch of money. And it sounds horrible. It sounds exploitative. It sounds like another clever trick to get people in debt to me, personally.
Sorry, one more quick question, Aaron. Do your people just gamble on sports? Because you mentioned Polymarket, and there is a slew of those websites as well that allow you to gamble on various real-world events, even the results of elections, how fast a battle is going to occur, a war coming or going or starting, etc. Polymarket has, will this person come out and make a stupid statement on Wednesday bets even? So I'm wondering, are your people only doing, how many points the Colts versus the Rams, or are we talking like I'm gambling on whether Trump is going to say fabulous today? Because that's a real bet on Polymarket too, by the way, is a word coming out of Trump's mouth today. You can bet on that before midnight. And if he says it publicly during any point in that day, you win. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So I'm just curious, are they betting on everything or just the sports? Just as a point of clarity, please.
Again, I don't ask enough questions, but as it seems to me that the sports stuff is the big draw. I'm sure they're using it for other stuff, but the sports are the draw. And with that, I have noticed that it's the prediction market style of wagering that seems to be drawing people in, actually, because it's not just this team over this team. It's very specific minutia out of games that I know people are really getting into. It's like, oh, if this kicker makes one kick but misses the other, then you win. Like that kind of stuff seems to be a big draw, yeah.
Okay, so even more so, what you're talking about is these people that go for these combinations, where you've got, like, say in baseball, I happen to know this because I talk baseball with a couple of people online. Let's just say, for instance, because you're a former Met fan like me, you bet on whether Pete Alonso, who no longer plays with the Mets but was a Mets star, and, like, say, two random Mets rookies, if they're going to actually both get base hits today. Or all three of them, right? And if all three of them get a base hit on, let's see, coming up is Saturday, let's just say we bet on it right now. And I say, well, Lewis Robert Jr., Pete Alonso, and Brett Beatty all get base hits on Saturday. Now, I have to have all three of these conditions happen, and it's a silly thing. It's not even the outcome of the game or anything. But because of that, I can bet $10 and win 500. And people are doing stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like the conditions in the game where it's like there'll be this many penalties called and this guy's going to actually scratch his ear during the fourth quarter? I mean, because both of those things exist online. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They do.
No, it's all of that. And then people are also, I know that people are gambling on the big like UFC fights and things like that. I had someone I know lost thousands of dollars last weekend on exclusively some sort of wagers he placed on fights. That's all I know. It hurt me too much even to talk about it, to ask him more. But I know that that's what it was, and it was way too much money that he lost doing that. So these things. I'm noticing people doing this, and it's a large amount of people. But at the same time, it has me wondering what the true scale of this is nationwide, and I have to guess it's massive. I can only guess that there's tons of people doing this, and that lots of people are losing way too much money, I'm assuming. And as I say that, I think it begs so many questions. It seems obvious that so many people are doing this. So what we need to say is like, hey, look, what's really going on out there? And how much money are people losing? And why? We could get into the why people are doing this. I think probably one of the main motivators is the horrendous economy now, is that there's no way for the regular person to get ahead. So these things sweep in there and offer this make money quick scenario, this sort of magical solution that like, hey, look, all I have to do is make this little wager and I can get this much money back. Are people doing that on a mass scale and losing more than they are breaking even, right? Even to break even would be a success, I would think. But my question is, how many people are breaking even? How many people are losing? What tiny fraction of people maybe are making money? But, the real question is, how much money are people losing? And, who are the beneficiaries of this new form of human suffering?
Oh,
who
perfect.
who's making the money, and who's who, and there's answers to these questions. I think we know the answers to this, but
Right. Hey, Aaron, do me a quick favor and mute your microphone on Teams just briefly, just as a point of helping out the technical side here. Some people might have noticed a little bit of a breakup in Aaron's audio, and I want to improve that, but I'm also not going to stop the flow of the show, and I'm going to hand it right back over to him with this comment. I'm going to give you the Ocelli perspective in real time. Who benefits? That's interesting, because if you take note, this speculation and, the betting market, if you will, all of this stuff was being done online by guess who? Gangsters. They were running these things, and people have gone to prison for running things like Polymarket, for running online gambling, for running unauthorized sports betting, and all that stuff. Guys with Italian names and other ethnic gangsters have all gone to prison for exploiting people over this. Here's the bottom line and the whole thing in a nutshell, real quick. Aaron said, who benefits? Let's do the math. Just like when they took away the numbers runners, okay, from the Italians in the streets on the Northeast, and they turned it over to your state lottery so that you could run a pick 3 and a pick 4, and you could just, sit there and wash your gambling addiction and scratch offs, okay, as a mechanism to allegedly raise money for education. You know what? The government got to control that. But they don't really want to control shit like the lottery all the time. Who benefits? At the end of the day, stay tuned for the answer. Just like with booze, just like with rendering things like cocaine and heroin illegal, which at one time in this country they were not, just like trying to have any sort of abolition of your ability to drink alcohol, but not really your ability to drink it. What was illegal during Prohibition was your ability to sell it and buy it, not to drink it. That was the interesting part of that law there, that amendment to the Constitution that they had to, get rid of. Here's the ultimate answer to that question, and also why they've sought to control and have now seized control of the cannabis market just in time for Trump to turn around and take it off of the Schedule 1. Yay, Trump. Anyway, here's the bottom line. The reason why this is all good is because now it is taxable and trackable. It doesn't matter what addiction is being sold to you. It doesn't matter if your doctor got you hooked on pain pills. That's all good because it's taxable and trackable. If and Italian especially, but other ethnic gangsters decide to run that business, the real crime they're committing is not paying the taxes. That's why they got Capone, and that's what pisses them off, because they want their cut on your addiction. And it doesn't matter if it's dope or if it's dopey bets. Any of that stuff, whatever you can get addicted to, the government wants their cut, because they need dependent little animals in order to justify their own existence. And that, my friends, is the Ocelli view on this. Aaron, go ahead and open up your mic. I think your compression will be back and you will sound normal again.
Oh, yeah. I sure hope I do. Okay.
He sure does. So there you go. And I added content to your show. My apologies for anybody who didn't want to hear that. But I think it was relevant, and I think Aaron heard it, and maybe he's got something to say about it as he ends his show, which is coming up in the next few minutes. And Uncle, the podcast broadcast, will begin at 11 p.m. Eastern. So there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that the corrupt government that is ruling over us at present are the ones that are really, cashing in. They're big on cashing in because, of course, Biff Tannen Jr. is an advisor and a huge investor into both of these stupid prediction market things, the Kalshi and the Poly market. Both of them, which is really ridiculous. These two competing companies. He's behind both of them. And the 1789 Capital. It's the same guys behind all of this. Behind the whole thing, this digital world that we live in, the crypto, there's this big crypto thing happening this week. That's all part of it. They want the crypto legalized so that they can have their way with that. And the way that they sell all of this garbage is they want you to believe that you are being liberated from the confines of what's very ironic is they want you to believe you're being liberated from an oppressive government that's communist and socialist and would not let you gamble online, would not let you have cryptocurrency because you can only have the state currencies, would not let you do whatever you want online. Well, now you can, because the big tech guys are in charge now. So hooray, our libertarian saviors have saved us, and they're the ones behind so many horrible things. They're the ones that own all this crap. They're the ones who own the government. They're the ones who put it there, and they're the ones who are, once again, trying to influence all these elections so that they can get more, so that they can have more control, so that they can put these data centers in without problems. And they are the ones behind all of the propaganda online that is thrown at you. And they do use the logic of conspiracy culture. They do use the logic of the former truth movement against you. They weaponize that to sell their product to you, whatever that product may be. At the moment changes, but it's the same thing overall as their digital system that we now live inside of. It's theirs. They own it. They create the terms of service, which they can change hourly on the hour, and you will be in breach of their contract. Every hour will change, and you can be booted off a platform for some new rule that they just made up. That's the libertarian way. That's the freedom of their system. It's a system that they own. It's a system that is unencumbered by any government that would be there to regulate them in any way. That is their libertarian system. Zero regulation for the online system they want you living in. Living your entire life in. They own it. They own it. They control it. It's unregulated. There is no government above them. They are the government. All right, and you look at these companies that they started so many decades ago, they were actually funded by government entities too, which is funny. there's this interplay of public and private, which is really laughable when you look at it for what it truly is, the history of this thing. But always remember, it's a sales pitch, it's a propaganda thing with them, and they're constantly hitting you with it. They're constantly using this logic of you are owning the libs and therefore you are free. You elected this new maverick politician that's going to change everything in the manner of the truth movement, right? We convinced you of this. By we mean we just bought up all of these useful charlatans within the truth movement that would say what we needed them to say in order that you would vote a particular way for our candidate that was going to serve us. We made you believe that he's going to serve you by telling the truth about 9/11 or making a new cryptocurrency to destroy the Federal Reserve or, whatever. Or they're going to get you out of the forever wars. They won't, but they will. You thought they would. Now they didn't, but that's okay. We'll make something else up to get you distracted away from that as that happens. So, I did think about maybe there's so many ways we could go. Check out the Patreon. I'm going to try to make a post because, frankly, I want to make a post where we just look straight up at the alternative media outlets that in yesteryear were just weirdo fringe sites that were saying somewhat innocuous and oftentimes toothless conspiracy theory stuff. Now, over time, have surprisingly become essentially totally racist and or neo-Nazi websites. And that's the story that really needs to be told because it sounds insane. It sounds sensationalist, but it's true that the politics that these guys are really all about is a crazy, totally racist neo-Nazi thing. And maybe I'll make a Patreon post just where I show like, oh, look what they're saying these days. Look at these interesting YouTube videos that are just over the top. It's insane.
My voice is only in your head. I am letting you know that you're over time, but only you can hear me. Continue.
Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, that might be a Patreon video. I might touch on it here on the regular show too. But for now, let's move on to Uncle the Broadcast. That's coming up on Friday night on Ocelli.com. Stay tuned, everybody. It's going to be fun. We might be a little late on that one. So thank you. TheAgeOfTransitions.com is my website. My name is Aaron Franz. As